Hello, today we are going to be discussing gun safety and the reasons why teachers and faculty members, aside from school resource officers, should not be allowed to possess guns on school property. I have 4 reasons set aside for this debate. The first reason being having guns in schools will increase the likelihood of accidental shootings in schools. 2, there are multiple federal laws that prohibit guns on school property. 3, teachers or other faculty members are not trained to handle these types of situations. 4, teachers build meaningful relationships with students which could affect their judgment during these high-stress situations. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the first mass shooting in the schools, which took place at Columbine High School in 1999. This school shooting took the lives of 12 students and 1 teacher and injured more than 20 individuals of that school. Since Columbine, there have been over 230 school shootings. This number does not take into consideration shootings with less than 4 fatalities, so I'm sure this number is a lot higher. As you can see in this chart below, this goes from 1999 to 2019, and this lists the deaths and injuries in school shootings where there were at least 2 deaths in that school shooting, and one of those deaths was not the school shooter themselves. Some more statistics on school shootings is that a study of 37 school shootings in 26 states found that in nearly 2/3 of school shootings, the attacker got the firearm from his or her own home or that of a relative. To me, this statistic tells us that if the student is wanting to get a gun, they are going to find a way to get it. So having a gun in school will just make that more likely, and the students will no longer have to sneak a gun into the schools. The gun will already be there waiting for them. As you can see in this chart below, there have been 288 school shootings in the US since 2009, compared to 2 in Canada, 2 in France, and 1 in Germany, and none in the other more developed countries. Moving on, here's a list of all the school shootings. This was taken in January 1st, 2018. And this article that this picture was pulled from was published in on February 14th of 2018. And this chart or this picture just shows us that there were 18 school shootings in a month and a half time span in the year 2018. So this is a major issue, but I feel that allowing teachers to possess guns is not the right solution to solving this problem. And here we're going to discuss some of the federal laws against guns in schools. The Gun-Free School Zones Act of 1990 has made it illegal for any individual to bring a firearm onto school property, and it prohibits the possession of a gun or a firearm within 1,000 feet of a school zone. The Gun-Free Schools Act of 1994, this act requires all states that receive federal education funds to enact local laws to enforce the expulsion from school if a student were to bring a firearm onto the school's campus for at least a year. If it was believed to be a good idea or a safe idea to bring guns onto school campuses, these federal laws never would have been enacted in the first place. Moving on to the next slide. This just goes over the deaths caused by guns in the U.S. So in the year 2020, there were a total of 45,222 firearm deaths in the U.S., an increase of 14% or 5,155 firearm deaths from the year 2019. And it is proven that nearly 90% of all high fatality shootings since 1966 have occurred in locations where civilian guns were allowed. So this slide and these statistics relate to teachers possessing firearms in schools, as the teachers would be civilians in this situation because they are not trained for this type of chaotic high stress situation the way that teachers themselves, the way that SROs are, or school resource officers. Another reason that I brought up in the front slide was that teachers build meaningful relationships with their students, and this just means that these teachers care about their students and they want what's best for those students. So if a teacher were put into the situation where shooting the student to stop them is the only way out of this chaotic situation, that they are going to live with that guilt and they are going to be followed by that day for the rest of their lives because they did care about that student. And even though they realized that was the only reason to stop them and to save the lives of the rest of the students in their class that they care so deeply about, this will still haunt them for the rest of their lives if they had to do this one time. On the flip side of that, some teachers are troubled themselves. For example, in a school, recently there was a science teacher, who held a scalpel to his student's throat and said, and I quote, "Do you know how easy this would be right now?" So on the opposite side of teachers caring so deeply about their students, there could be that one teacher, which this is very rare, that could possibly be the one carrying out the school shooting. So that is another reason why having firearms, aside from people who are trained to use them in schools, is probably not the most intelligent idea. So moving on to these next few slides, we're going to go over a few more statistics. So this slide here just tells us that the American civilians own more guns than any other nation in the world, and this just breaks it down a little more. So 30% personally own a gun, 42% live in a gun-owning household, 72% have fired a gun, 44% know someone who has been shot, 52% support stricter gun laws, and 67% own a gun for protection. So these people are familiar with guns. They know about gun safety. They know how to properly shoot a gun. But if they were put in this situation where they had so many innocent people around them, that I feel that there would be more accidental shootings occurring than intentional. So while trying to save the students and by trying to stop the shooter, there would be more accidental shootings that occur in the process. And here are my sources. Thank you all for listening.